Supervisors meeting for this November 17th date. We do still have a number of items to cover on our agenda. We're going to pick up with item number 11, but I would just announce to everyone again as a reminder that item number 1, which is the notice public hearing on the Truth Act Community Forum regarding immigration and customs enforcement access to individuals during 2019. That item is going to be heard at 5 p.m. time certain. And we'll go ahead and pick up now with item number 11, which is authorization to negotiate and award funding from the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. And I know that we have a staff presentation on this, and then I believe we have 3 speakers. So let me go ahead and turn it over to our staff to go ahead and do the presentation.
Before the staff presentation begins, for those members of the public that have requested to speak on this item, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you, and you will be muted until it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me turn it over to David Estrella for today's staff presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cox and members of the board. Your board took action in 2017 to establish the Innovative Housing Trust Fund and invest $25 million for the creation of affordable housing. In 2019, your board increased the trust fund investment, adding $25 million to increase affordable housing efforts region-wide. Today, we are here to request your approval to award the remaining $9.1 million following negotiations with development partners. This slide provides a summary of the successes of the prior rounds 1 through 3. In just 2 years, 3 notices of funding availability, or NOFAs, were released, awarding $40.9 million to spur affordable housing development region-wide. 44 proposals were received. 16 of these developments were awarded funding, with a combined total of $447 million in leveraged funding. Through the trust fund, the first 3 NOFAs will create or preserve over 1,100 affordable housing units, serving approximately 14,500 residents throughout the affordability period. Units will be constructed in San Isidro, Poway, Alpine, Vista, San Marcos, Santee, and other cities in our region. Of the total 1,127 units currently awarded, of those units, 233 units have completed construction, 471 units are under construction, and 423 units will be constructed and or rehabilitated within the next 2 to 5 years. Featured here on this slide are just some examples of the great work taking place around San Diego County. For example, Fairmont Family East Block Apartments in the Mid-City community of San Diego with 78 affordable units. Paseo La Paz Apartments located in San Isidro with the creation of 139 affordable units. Villa de Vida, Poway, with 54 affordable units. Pacifica Apartments in the Otay Mesa community of San Diego with 42 affordable units. And The Grove, a development in Vista with 81 affordable units. In addition to providing affordable units, San Diego County stands to gain from the positive impact on the business community with the creation of jobs in the construction of these properties. Tenants who reside in these affordable units will also have less of a rent burden, resulting in more money in their income available for spending, which will also boost our economy. Upon completion of the third NOFA, the trust fund had just over $9 million remaining for investment, which brings us to your board today. 12 proposals were received at the close of the fourth NOFA. Of those proposals, the top 4 scoring proposals are recommended for award today. The trust fund balance will fully fund the top 3 scoring proposals and partially fund the 4th proposal. The remaining trust fund dollars will be leveraged with more than $122 million in other funding sources. With the authorization of your board, the recommended 4 developments will create an additional 271 new affordable units, serving 3,500 residents throughout the affordability period. The top 4 scoring round 4 proposals are recommended for award today. Starting with Anita Street, which is a new construction development located in Chula Vista. This development will provide 96 new residential units to low-income families and chronically homeless or at risk of homeless with serious mental illness individuals. Wakeland Housing and Development Corporation is recommended for up to $3 million in IHTF funds to support this development. Next, Valley Senior Village is a new construction development located in Escondido. This development will create 50 new units for low-income seniors and chronically homeless or at risk of homeless with serious mental illness. National Corps, in partnership with San Diego Community Housing Corporation, is recommended for an award of up to $2 million in trust fund dollars for this development. We also have Union Bank Apartments, a new construction development located in the City Heights community within the city of San Diego. This development will provide 61 new residential units to low-income families. Wakeland Housing and Development Corporation is recommended for up to $3 million in IHTF funds to support this development. Cedar Kettner is a new construction development located in downtown San Diego. This development will create 64 new units for low-income seniors. Bridge Housing Corporation is recommended for an award of up to $1.1 million in trust fund dollars for this development. This development is also part of the county's effort to create affordable housing through surplus excess county land. The County of San Diego and Bridge Housing entered into an option lease agreement on November 19, 2019 for this property. In summary, through the combined 4 trust fund NOFAs, $50 million will be invested in affordable housing countywide. A total of 56 proposals were received and evaluated. A total of 20 developments received or will receive an investment of trust fund dollars. Your board action will leverage up to $569 million in federal, state, and other local dollars, which will include the 4 developments recommended for award today. Round 4 developments will create an additional 271 new affordable units, serving approximately 3,500 residents throughout the affordability period, increasing the total trust fund units to 1,398 affordable housing units created and or preserved. Your board's commitment to invest in communities throughout the region via the $50 million trust fund will serve low-income families, seniors, veterans, homeless, developmentally disabled, and homeless with serious mental illness for 99 years. The developments will serve an estimated 18,000 people throughout the 99-year affordability period. In order to proceed with the actions described in this board letter and award the remaining $9 million in trust funds, today we are requesting that your board authorize the award of funding following the completion of negotiations and authorize the agency director or designee to execute and enter into all documents necessary to implement the award. This concludes our presentation. We're available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions by my colleagues? We do have 3 individuals that wish to speak. Seeing nobody wanting to speak right now from the board, I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and call up the individuals that are called in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also note for the record that we received 2 e-comments on this item. Of those 3 individuals, we have 1 caller on the line ready to address the board. For the caller, you'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted, and then you'll need to press *6 to unmute your phone. We'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Aaron, if you could please identify the caller.
Yes, it's 9222. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. If you're there, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors and County staff. My name is John Seymour on behalf of National Community Renaissance. We're a 501c3 nonprofit affordable housing developer, owner, and property manager. Our sister nonprofit, Hope Through Housing Foundation, works with National Corps on all of our properties to empower children, families, and seniors, improving their well-being, health, and economic mobility. This past year, we expanded our efforts, delivering hope and opportunities to literally thousands of low-income residents offering a helping hand and the resources they need to thrive. We'd also like to thank the City of Escondido for their funding commitment of $4 million and our co-developer and co-owner of Valley Senior Village, San Diego Community Housing Corporation. Today, 1 in 5 kids in the United States live in poverty, and more than 1 in 10 households live with the burden of severe housing costs, and senior poverty is on the rise. The silver tsunami is quickly approaching, and the needs are large. We are honored and humbled to receive county staff's recommendation of approval. So thank you, Board of Supervisors. Your actions today to not only approve Valley Senior Village, but the other 3 projects will go a long way towards implementing the Live Well San Diego indicators of quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 8962. 8962.
Good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors and county staff. This is Ted Miyahara with the San Diego Community Housing Corporation. We are the co-developer of the Valley Senior Village development in Escondido, and we are in support of staff recommendations before you. I want to thank the County Board of Supervisors for great leadership and for the foresight to establish the fund. Also thank county staff for creating the framework for deploying the funds. Selecting projects from a pool of funding that is often oversubscribed is not an easy task. Creating close to 1,400 units with $50 million is impressive. What's even more impressive is that the county managed to invest these funds across the region into 9 different cities. The housing crisis has no boundaries, and it's affecting our entire region. The fund will reach many walks of life, including transitional aged youth, artists, families, seniors, veterans, and homeless. We as developers are chipping away at the housing crisis, and it's funding like this that make these projects possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker on this item is 4781. 4781. And you need to press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Rebecca Louie. I am the Vice President and COO of Lakeland Housing and Development Corporation. We have 2 projects in this recommendation, Anita Street and Union Bank. We're really excited about both of them, and we just want to thank the Board of Supervisors for considering these projects. And just to give you a little example of how important this money is, we opened the Grove in Vista just this month, and we have already moved in almost 80 low-income seniors, and it's just been absolutely life-changing for them. And getting to see them move in and enjoy their new homes has just been an incredible experience. So thank you, and thank you for these 2 projects. And we said Anita Street is going to have a set aside of 24 units for people who have been chronically homeless with serious mental illness, and we have seen firsthand as developers of supportive housing how this really is the solution. Having these intensive services paired with a stable home and a caring environment just really does end homelessness for these people. It's an incredible model, and our Union Bank project is going to provide much needed affordable family housing in City Heights, where these families have been so affected by this pandemic. So we just, again, really thank you for this.
Thank you. And that concludes public testimony on this item, Chairman Cox.
Certainly appreciate the input from the callers, and we'll get into board discussion now. I'm first going to call on Supervisor Diane Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a huge success. As staff has indicated, we've come a long way since Supervisor Roberts and I introduced the Housing Trust Fund back in 2017 with the initial $25 million investment, and then later with you, Mr. Chairman, you and I brought forward a recommendation to add another $25 million more to the fund. When we launched the concept, we had hoped to bring to the table public-private partnerships to house our most vulnerable populations, and we've done that. We envisioned just what came to fruition and what we've seen today: affordable housing units sprinkled across the county to provide safe, secure living situations for folks who need it the most. We've housed seniors, low-income families, veterans, the developmentally disabled, and homeless individuals through these partnerships. And today, as staff indicated, we're approving the last 9 million currently available in this fund, and we expect an additional 271 units. Bottom line on that, what a great investment. With the total $50 million, nearly $570 million has been leveraged in development funds, and that's all been spent right here in the San Diego region. That's a good investment any day of the week. An estimated 3,000 individuals will be housed through a total of these 1,400 units at any given time once they're all developed. So a big thank you to David Estrella and the other housing and community staff for the leadership and ongoing effort in putting this program together. And it's been extremely successful. Thank you. And I would put a motion on the floor to approve staff recommendation on item 11.
Second.
Second that motion. Again, I want to start off by commending you, Supervisor Jacob, and former Supervisor Roberts for getting the ball rolling on this. The original 25 million, I think, was demonstrated that there was a strong appetite on the part of a number of developers in this community to build affordable housing specifically for families, for seniors, for veterans, for homeless, for developing disabled community, and obviously homeless with severe mental illness. And that's a population that we've never really been able to adequately address. I was pleased to co-author with you, I think it was in 2019, another $25 million to get that pot up to 50 million. Now with 50 million invested in affordable housing, we've got a great opportunity to make a real difference in our community in regards to housing homeless and those other populations that I mentioned. I want to thank our housing and community development team led by David Estrella for their hard work in putting the county at the forefront of addressing the housing crisis in our region. They did a good job evaluating the many projects that applied, and as a result, it's great to see the 271 additional units that will be built through the recommended projects. And I'm really proud to see that 96 of these units will be in my district in the city of Chula Vista. It's incredible to realize that our awards will now have contributed to almost 1,400 total units throughout the San Diego County area. And it's kind of interesting to see the dispersion of those units across 9 different cities and in the unincorporated area. Anytime you can leverage your funds about 10 or 11 to 1 for every dollar that we put in, there's another 10 or 11 dollars being put in by other people. It's a good thing when you see the end result is this additional housing. This is just one example of our efforts as we continue to bring in much needed affordable housing options for our residents throughout the county through the No Place Like Home program, through Project One for All, and through streamlining the process for building accessory dwelling units in the unincorporated area. There's no magic or silver bullet here, but it's a matter of all these different programs working together and truly creating more units to assist people that are in the unaffordability range right now. But with these projects, they're going to be able to have a roof over their heads and a safe home to live in. These are much needed units that make a significant difference in the lives of needy families and other vulnerable populations. And it's a real pleasure to see this item come before us today. Supervisor Gaspar, you wanted to speak?
No, thank you, Chairman. Happy to second the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just briefly, I want to commend everyone who launched this program. It's obviously been incredibly successful. I think when we see what we just heard about the dollar amounts, it's leveraged the ability to bridge those needed gaps that are there. And I think as a board, this is something we're going to have to really consider continuing to support in the future to make sure that we get those outcomes. I'm thrilled a number of these projects are in the 4 supervisorial district. I've seen many of them. And I think as we struggle with citing housing and affordable housing, I think we have to do everything we can to do our part. And I think this has been a great success. And I certainly look forward to our efforts to continue to support it in the future.
Okay, any other comments? If not, we have a motion and a second. Would the clerk go ahead and call the roll?
Thank you. Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Jacob?
Aye.
Supervisor Gaspar?
Aye.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Desmond?
Aye.
Chairman Cox, that motion passes unanimously with all board members being present and voting aye.
Okay, the next item we have on our agenda is item number 13. This is to authorize an amendment to the contract with Health Management Associates for consultant services. And I'll ask the staff if they have any additional comments they wish to make on this. I believe we have 3 speakers on this item.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman, and those individuals that have requested to speak, if they could please call into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Thank you.
Chairman Cox, we have no additional items.
Okay. If we have the speakers available, let's go ahead and go right directly to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also note for the record that we received 2 e-comments on this item. Of those 3 individuals that requested to speak, we have 1 ready to address the board this afternoon. You will hear a notification that your call has been unmuted, and then you'll need to press *6 to unmute your phone. And we'll ask each caller to please state their name for the audio record, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Aaron, if you could please identify the first caller.
Yes, the first caller is 7611.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lizzie Womack. I am proud to have served the San Diego County Sheriff's Department for the past 13 and a half years. My job is supervising registered nurse. This means that I keep detainees and the community safer by being responsible and accountable for detainees in our care, providing and ensuring patients access to medical and psychiatric care and treatment, to include specialized services such as OB immunizations. We also collaborate with public health for concerns on communicable outbreaks, diseases such as COVID and TB. The HHSA agency is the best place for workers like me who work with San Diego County detention facilities. County jails need the restorative health care that HHSA will provide. We should be healing them and getting them back to the society. There is no question that public employees, as part of a holistic approach under HHSA, will deliver the better care to detainees rather than profit corporations that will cut corners and leave taxpayers on the hook for lawsuits. SEIU members were pleased to be a part of a meeting with HHSA to develop this proposal. The meeting was productive, and we believe the experience of our workforce will lead to a greater proposal. However, our responsibilities are complex, and we believe it is appropriate to provide more support to the consultant to get this right. The reasons why the consultants are needed is to help plan for the future and get an honest business view. The consultant will gain access to the specialized skill set and give an expert opinion. They will provide perspective, new and innovative ideas, or possible challenges that are forward.
Thank you, ma'am.
I urge the board to approve funding to the study moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And there are no other callers on the line for this item at this time, Chairman Cox.
Okay, I have one question. The recommendation that we have from staff says to amend the contract to increase the amount of up to $250,000 through June 30th, 2021. And then it says in a 6 one-month option period. Should that be 1 6-month option period?
Chairman Cox, we have 6 one-month options through June of 2021.
Okay, very good. Any questions from my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman, I would put a motion on the floor to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Supervisor Jacobs, seconded by Supervisor Fletcher. Is there any additional comments? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Jacob?
Aye.
Supervisor Gaspar?
Aye.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
Vice Chairman Desmond?
Aye.
Chairman Cox, that motion passes unanimously with all board members being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on now to item 14. This is an administrative item, the second consideration and adoption of ordinance adding and repealing provisions in the San Diego County Code regarding the sale of tobacco products in the unincorporated area of San Diego County. We had the first reading on October 27th. this would be the second reading and adoption. Before we get into the speakers, I do know that we have, I believe, 20 speakers that have requested to speak on this item. I wanted to share with you that I intend to make a couple of modifications to this that I'll go ahead and at least acknowledge at this point, and then maybe provide this more specific language when we get into the discussion. One of the things I wanted to try to do is to get some consistency with state laws that required as it related to the sale of alcohol. And so in regards to the minimum clerk age, I would be proposing that we change the ordinance to read that no tobacco retailer may permit an employee under 18 years of age to handle or sell tobacco products unless under the continuous supervision of a person 21 years of age or older. That, I believe, will make it consistent with what state law is in regards to the sale of alcohol. And then secondly, this would be a new item that we didn't include, but I think that there's some rationale for this, and that is to allow the transfer to immediate family members. And what I would be proposing is some language that would read that a tobacco retailer may transfer their license to their parent, child, spouse, or domestic partner for tobacco retailing at the same location. The transferee must be eligible to hold a tobacco retailer license. Those would be amendments that I would be proposing at the conclusion of the public discussion. And in doing that, if those are accepted, this would become the first reading of that ordinance, and the second reading would be at our meeting in December. So with that,
Chairman Cox, this is Tom Montgomery. Also, just so I can make sure that everybody understands and we're all clear, first of all, just to make clear that the recommendations you're talking about, the language of the minimum clerk age would be in section 21.2603, and that would be the new subdivision I. And then your language to talk about the transfer would be included in section 21.2606, and that would be a new subsection D. Also, let me just explain that the item that we have taken out of the ordinance from what was in before, at the last board meeting, we were looking at a code section that said that people under 21 years could not serve alcohol between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. We have since discovered that that was only associated with establishments that sold gasoline. And that is part of the reason that we are recommending that you could, if you want to make it consistent, that you would make the changes that you have described below. So just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
I have a quick procedural question when you're done.
Supervisor, go ahead.
Yeah, just so I understand, if we make changes to it today, that still, and we vote to approve, that still constitutes a first reading, and then it would come back in December, and that would be the second reading and make it final. Is that correct?
That is correct, and then it would be effective 30 days after that December date.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, if you're done, I would like to propose one additional thing, and it had been commented to in staff as it relates to the fee, and that there would be a fee, and it would be published in the fee schedule. I think it would be appropriate to include that in the ordinance. I don't think there's any substantive change in terms of what would be done, but my addition to add into the two you made would be in section 21.2610. We would add the fee to issue or to renew a tobacco retail licensing shall be established from time to time by resolution of the Board of Supervisors. The fee shall be calculated so as to recover the cost of administering and enforcement of the section, including, for example, issuing a license, administering the license program, retailer education, retailer inspection and compliance checks, documentation of violation, and prosecution of violators, but shall not exceed the cost of the regulatory program authorized by this section. All fees and interest upon proceeds of fees shall be used exclusively to fund the program. Fees are non-refundable except as may be required by law. That is our general standard approach to fees, and I think it's appropriate to put in the ordinance what we have publicly said we would be doing. And so I would add that to the changes.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and hear the public discussion, and then when we get ready to make a motion, I certainly appreciate your suggestion. I think that makes sense, and we can include it in the motion that we'll ultimately be voting on. Is there any additional staff comments?
Not at this time.
Okay, then let's go straight to the public speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also note for the record that we received 179 e-comments on this item. We have 21 requests to speak on this item, so if those individuals that have requested to speak, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You will then need to press *6 to unmute your phone. Each caller will be asked to state their name for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. You'll hear this sound when your time is up, so please conclude your comments at that time. I'd remind the public speakers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. Aaron, if you could please identify the first caller.
Yes, our first caller is 4400. 4400. You'll need to press *6. Oh, thank you.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon, Chairman Cox, supervisors, and staff. My name is Arkan Samo, president of the Neighborhood Market Association. Although we are in support of the tobacco licensing, retail licensing portion of the ordinance, we are still deeply concerned with some of the provision that will have devastating effect on every family-owned business who engages in selling tobacco products in the unincorporated area of San Diego County. Supervisor Cox, you made my life so much easier because I had 3 comments to make and you just took care of 2 of them. So I'm deeply appreciative of your modification and your to the ordinance. So the only thing left is really one issue for me, which I think is the most devastating provision, which is the license suspension and revocation. And I would really ask you to reconsider changing a minor provision just for the timeline, and instead of 5 years to make it 3 years, which is coincide with the state law governing the ABC. They give you 3 years. If you have these violations, you lose your license. So I know the year was too short. I would really appreciate it if you could make one more modification to that and make it 3 years. I know some speakers, the last time they mentioned El Cajon. Just FYI, the city of El Cajon reset their clock within 6 months. 5 years is too long, and it's unprecedented. So on behalf of every family-owned business in the county, we are asking for your support of the tobacco retail licensing portion and urge you to reconsider of the proposed modification. Thank you, and God bless you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Our next caller is 9360. 9360. And if we don't hear from you when we call on you, we'll come back to you before we conclude testimony on this item. Our next caller is 5008. 5008.
Yes, my name is Deborah Kelly. Flavors Hook Kids. Ending the sale of all flavored tobacco products and implementing a strong tobacco retailer licensing program are vital steps in creating the first tobacco-free generation. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids believes this ordinance is a positive step forward in protecting kids, but more must be done to combat the predatory marketing tactics of the tobacco industry. Hookah lounge owners are advocating that their product be exempted, but community members aren't asking for any exemptions. We do support Supervisor Fletcher's proposed amendment to include language about the fee and the cost recovery issues there. And we ask that you consider closing all loopholes and providing the youth in San Diego County with the maximum amount of protection possible. Thank you again for your leadership on this issue.
Thank you. Our next caller is 8664. 8664. And again,
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Jaime Rojas with the National Association of Tobacco Outlets. We are against the proposed changes to the ordinance. As you know, SB 793 has already passed and signed by the governor with an effective date of January 1st of 2021. we're asking that the Board of Supervisors mirror SB 793 and not add additional burden to retail owners who already follow the rules and regulations. As we know, the exemptions also include within SB 793 premium cigars and loose leaf tobacco. This issue, as we've been following it for over a year, has been on the issue of vaping and youth usage. This has gone overboard, and we're asking to also include and mirror SB 793 and protect the rights of adults. This is a highly focused and regulated industry. Our retailers are 97% have a success rate in the annual sting operations done by both the FDA and the state of California. We're asking you to make these considerations, at a minimum, maintain as is, and not add any further burdensome to the retail owners who are members of the community, who do not sell to youth. And the issue is focused completely, as the state of California Health Department has said, is on online sales and parents who buy tobacco products for their kids, excuse me. So we're asking you to make this consideration, protect our businesses, protect our communities, and we hope you make this consideration. We thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 4861. 4861.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Linda Barber. I'm the Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. And I want to thank the county for the progress you've made by adopting a strong tobacco retail license policy. And I want to thank Supervisor Fletcher for your amendment. Your American Cancer Society joins our partners in urging all jurisdictions to adopt a policy that's stronger than the state's flavored tobacco policy. It is the bottom line. It is not the ceiling, and it does allow jurisdictions to adopt stronger policies. So we look forward to working with the board to close those loopholes, because we know that big tobacco will exploit every loophole in the policy. The California Student Tobacco Survey shows that 4% of our kids have used large cigars, and almost 2% have used pipe tobacco. Given that there's over 160,000 high school students in the county, this could translate to more than 6,000 youth users here in our community. And cigars and pipe tobaccos are not safe. These kids who are using these would be left behind with a flavored tobacco, cigar, and pipe tobacco exemption. While 1% or even 5% is a small number, it is still a youth problem, and we want you to protect all kids by prohibiting all flavored tobacco products. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next caller is 7909. 7909.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Aisel Bakhiyarova. I'm calling to say that I oppose this ordinance because it will hurt small businesses and will negatively affect our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 1263. 1263. And if we don't hear from you, we will come back to you. Our next caller is 3971. 3971.
Yes. Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Manuel Garcia. I'm a community organizer working on tobacco prevention for the last 14 years in San Diego County. I want to thank you for your leadership for implementing the tobacco retail license, and it's a very important step to protect kids in our communities. But I believe it's not enough as exceptions or loopholes for the tobacco industry to take advantage. I would like to share a couple of stories for you to understand how flavored tobacco products, especially vaping and hookah, are a very negative impact for youth in our local communities. At work, I receive calls on a regular basis from parents of school sites about this issue. This is a quote from a mother from North County who emailed me. Yes, I am anti-vaping. It really did cause chaos in my son's life. He's actually doing better, but it has been a very and really expensive issue. I put my son in therapeutic boarding school in March. He's returning home this week. This 14-year-old was a vibrant and smart kid who, within 6 months, came from a sports star at his junior school to severe behavioral issues. Several suspensions fell from his football team and ended up in therapeutic boarding school because of vaping. His mother verbally told me that this kid cried and begged her to at least allow him to keep vaping nicotine as he really needed it, as he was also addicted to vaping THC. It was a horrible experience. One local junior high school in San Diego contacted me in 2017 stating that they were monitoring kids' social media and that hookah was a very prevalent problem in their campus. By 2019 and early 2020, we were overwhelmed with schools' requests from all parts of the county to do presentations. We do not have the capacity. From La Jolla to Poway School, a district, to Park Henry School, to East Lake and Chula Vista High School, flavored tobacco products.
Thank you, sir.
Hookah and vaping is a real problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 8754. 8754.
Hi, good afternoon, supervisors and staff. My name is Chelsea Walzak Burke. I'm a San Diego resident, and I'm also the Senior Director of Community Impact for the American Heart Association here in San Diego. Cigar smoking in the United States has historically been a behavior of older men, but the industry's actions to get around the 2009 federal ban on flavored cigarettes led to a surge of flavored cigars. And when the industry's increased marketing of cigars and kid-friendly flavors came a sadly predictable increase in youth cigar smoking. Today, more than 1 million high school students regularly use cigars. 74% of them say that they use cigars because they come in flavors that I like. This comes from kids as young as 12 years old. The way cigars are marketed in chocolate, wild berry, and cherry dynamite is clearly aimed at kids. In fact, flavored cigars contain some of the same flavor chemicals used in Lifesavers candy, Jolly Ranchers, and Kool-Aid. This is predatory, and we need to stand up for these kids. Thank you for your leadership and for helping to close these loopholes.
Thank you. Our next caller is 3311. 3311.
You are unmuted.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ina. As a parent, I don't want my kids to smoke, but this ordinance, I believe, will hurt businesses and will also inconvenience shoppers. So I urge you to please modify the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 1990. 1990.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Badner, and I'm a resident of Carlsbad and a mom of 2 teens. Over 30% of high school students now use tobacco, and easy access to flavored products is driving these numbers. Ending the sale of all flavored tobacco products is about protecting kids from big tobacco's predatory practices. Research shows that the use of flavored cigars is primarily a youth phenomenon. Among middle and high school cigar smokers, nearly half use flavored products. But among adults 65 and older, only 13% use flavored products. About half of the high school students believe kids their age would not use tobacco products, excuse me, if they only came in tobacco flavor. The industry knows and fears this, which is why they fight flavor restrictions and are happy to see exemptions. The consequences of not protecting kids from tobacco are too great when 16,800 youth in California become new smokers every year. Please move to end the sale of all flavored tobacco products without exemptions. This is the best way to keep our kids healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 3414. 3414. You may proceed. Three, 4, 1, 4. You're unmuted and you may address the board. Three, 4, 1, 4. Would you like to address the board? We're going to move on to 6339. 6339. Six, 339. If not, we will move on to 1822. 1822.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Peggy Walker. And first, as a resident of District 3, I want to say thank you, Kristen Gaspar, so very much for your valued perspective, your independent stance when you knew it was right, for your careful reasoning, and in particular, your service to young people. I am a member of San Diego Alliance for Drug-Free Youth, a community-based nonprofit collaboration of parents, students, educators, community organizations, churches, and business owners. For 30 years, we've served over 300,000 youth in the North Coastal region with multiple youth prevention programs and substance abuse education. We know how big tobacco has seduced young people, and we strongly support this proposal with the suggested amendment by Supervisor Fletcher. This will strengthen county control and monitoring, compliance, and enforcement of retail sales of tobacco products. TRLs serve youth prevention because they deter stores from being a destination for kids who buy from the stores they know will sell to them. The city of Solana Beach has served as a TRL leader in District 3. There have been no store closures or revocation of licenses in Solana Beach, but the TRL has brought violators into compliance. This has served youth, the city, and the retail environment well. A county TRL will provide region-wide commonality of language and regulatory practices, linking the county and cities like Solana Beach and others who have already implemented TRLs with like policies. Thank you for considering this, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Our next caller is 0530. 0530.
Thank you for taking my call. As a resident and of Middle Eastern background, I'm actually Armenian from Lebanon. Hookah is in my culture. So I would urge you to keep the language of SB 793 that the State Assembly, State Senate, and the governor have adopted, in which the governor openly said, hookah is not the problem in the classroom. Hookah is not vape. Please go ahead and ban vape in all ways you can, but do not touch hookah and cigar. These are for people my age and above, 50 and above, who actually think of hookah and cigar as part of a tradition. Hookah comes from a culture that we share in the Middle East. Some of you not from that culture would not understand it. And sadly, some people from the Cancer Association, Heart Association are saying lies about school children smoking hookah. You can't carry your hookah in your backpack or in your back pocket. You can't hide it from your parents. You can't smoke it in the bathroom either. Hookah is not the problem, neither is cigar. Those are smoked either in publicly, privately, not in classrooms, not in the gym, not on fields. You won't see kids smoking cigars or hookah anywhere. Thank you. We support the TRL. Please don't touch hookah or cigar.
And could you please state your name for the record? Oh, he may have disconnected. Our next caller is 3274. 3274. And And if not, our next caller is 7978. 7978.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Rima Corey. I'm General Counsel for Fumari, a premium hookah tobacco manufacturer in San Diego. I'm also a founding member of the National Hookah Community Association and a resident of Fallbrook. Thank you for your consideration of the rich cultural tradition of hookah by exempting it from the San Diego County flavor ban. We also commend your effort on the proposed TRL to address youth access and usage of tobacco products. However, we respectfully ask that you amend the ban on online sales and instead adopt the state's online regulation, SB 39, that passed in 2019. SB 39 is a comprehensive regulation that addresses youth access and includes enforcement guidelines, which have civil penalties up to $10,000 in a space that is notoriously difficult to enforce. So businesses are already struggling due to COVID-19, and rather than hindering businesses further during this difficult time, we ask for lawmakers to work with businesses and pass reasonable regulations while also achieving its regulatory goals. Again, our deepest gratitude for all your efforts to address youth access and usage to tobacco products while also preserving the rich cultural tradition of hookah. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next caller is 2391. 2391.
R6, you are unmuted.
Thank you very much. My name is Sharif. I am actually Egyptian. I live in San Diego, and I oppose this ordinance because it's infringing on my rights as an adult, as a Middle Eastern, to smoke my hookah at home or maybe in a lounge where I like it, where you cannot come in than 21. Everybody gets carded. I don't get carded anymore. I'm old, but I see people trying to get in and they cannot because they either have fake ID or they are below 21. So hookah tobacco, please exempt it like the previous callers have said and go with what the state has declared as law. Thank you. And just so you know, hookah tobacco comes only in flavors. And none of the hookah tobacco manufacturers are owned by Big Tobacco. No R.J. Reynolds, no Philip Morris. They're all family-owned businesses around the world, and a lot of them in California and in San Diego. Don't kill businesses, please. Thank you. Respect the culture.
Thank you. Our next caller is 1094. 1094. If not, we will go back to some of the numbers we previously called. 1094, you may proceed.
Hello, my name is Julie Elkins, and I live and work in El Cajon. I am a pastor, a mother, and a grandmother. I am also an American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network ambassador. I am a two-time cancer survivor. I come from a family of cancer survivors and those who have lost their lives to cancer. We also have asthma, other breathing and heart issues in my family, including myself. Smoke and tobacco products affect me very severely, along with my husband, my children, and my grandchildren. I was surprised to find out my grandchildren are already, as young kids in school, being introduced to smokeless tobacco products that have flavors designed to hook them. 10% of users started before the 6th grade, 44% by the 9th grade, and 85% by the 11th grade. Early nicotine use is correlated with daily use and a lifelong nicotine addiction. And flavors in smokeless tobacco are specifically aimed at hooking kids such as my grandchildren. The U.S. Surgeon General found that the tobacco companies use flavorings in smokeless tobacco as a part of a graduation strategy that encourages new users to start with flavored products with lower levels of nicotine and work their way up to more addictive products. I want to thank you for protecting our kids from a lifelong addiction to this deadly product by ending the sale of flavored smokeless tobacco and passing a very strong TRL for enforcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next caller is 9360. 9360.
Hi, my name is Chris Messick. While I agree we need a TRL, I oppose this as written. Your elected officials and the people you serve are the violence issue.
I think that person may have a bad connection. 9360, are you still there?
Hi, my name is Chris Messick.
Hi, we're having
While
a hard time hearing you, sir. Could you please state your name for the record?
Chris Messick.
I think you have a bad telephone connection. We're having a really hard time hearing you.
All right, thank you.
If you'd like to call back, you can call back in using those same instructions that you used to join the meeting. We'll move on to our next caller, 1263. 1263.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Lori Bremner, and I am with PAVE, California. PAVE is Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes. We're a national parents organization founded in 2018 as a grassroots response to the youth vaping epidemic. PAVE is in support of a comprehensive tobacco retail licensing ordinance that includes a full ban on the sale of all flavored tobacco products. An ordinance with exemptions is harder to enforce, and the arguments for some of the exemptions are often disingenuous. Before accepting the exemptions proposed, I encourage each of you to look at the flavor menus of the hookah lounges in San Diego County. The hookah flavors advertised in the county include bubblegum, Skittles, Fruit Loops, Sex on the Beach, Red Bull, and White Gummy Bear. Those don't sound like traditional flavors of any ethnicity to me. As parents, we know firsthand the toll that this adolescent public health crisis is taking on so many American families. We hear heartbreaking stories from parents all over the country, including here in San Diego County, who are desperately searching for resources as they struggle with their kids' severe nicotine addiction, an addiction that harms teens' developing brains and lungs. San Diego County families are counting on you to value our kids' health higher than the profits of businesses that exist to sell deadly products. At this time of COVID, we cannot wait on the state ordinance, which has exemptions and is destined to be delayed until at least November 2022. Lung health has never been more important, and the need for these protections has never been more urgent. Please strengthen the tobacco retail licensing ordinance and include all flavored tobacco products, and I thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 9097. 9097.
Hello, Dining County Board of Supervisors. This is George Johnson with Regal Hookah, the National Hookah Chamber of Commerce and National Hookah Community Association. I'm a volunteer. I live in District 3, and I work out of Encinitas as well. I support the TRL and more stringent enforcement, but the impact of the other provisions in this ordinance will be a nail in the coffin of many small businesses. I want to also bring up the 1/3 reduction this year about the youth tobacco survey and vaping. So I hope that this fad will soon fade away. That's probably wishful thinking, though. Also, another caller had mentioned flavored cigars. I want to bring that up, that those are blunt wraps and they're used for THC purposes. Also, on the previous caller who mentioned the modern flavors for hookah tobacco, we are not marketing to children. It's, adults like flavors too. And the traditional flute flavors have been adapted to modern American preferences. And as an industry person, I've worked closely with Al-Sakhir and Fumari and Tangiers to remove candy-flavored names. We have no need for them, and we have compliance in the industry leaders to rid ourselves of bubblegum, Skittles, anything that is related to that. The Jolly Ranchers flavors will be a thing of the past. Now, I want to channel my inner Gaspar and speak my mind. No one wants to say that we're shutting down businesses or closing your businesses. They won't tell you the truth, but the intentions are clear. We're putting businesses in handcuffs and telling them to swim. The amount of lip service paid to small mom and pop businesses by politicians is disingenuous pandering. Many people are grandstanding on the backs of small convenience stores, liquor stores, and smoke shops. They are people too, and have a federally legal business for decades. Like Mickey D said, you deserve a break today. They deserve a break today. Everyone is already crippled by the effects of COVID-19. Please don't kick these small businesses while they're down. In closing, I want to say losing the Republican majority on this board scares me. And I will sorely miss the logical words and direct talk of Kristen Gaspar. You go, girl, and I wish you best of luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 3414. 3414.
Good afternoon, Chair Cox and supervisors. My name is Alexa, and I'm with the American Heart Association, here today to support a strong policy to protect our kids from tobacco addiction, disease, and death. Ending the sale of all flavored tobacco products without exemption and licensing tobacco retailers with annual fees and strong enforcement are evidence-based policies to reduce youth tobacco use. Unfortunately, the ordinance before you fails to fully protect kids by exempting flavored hookah, premium cigars, and pipe tobacco. Research shows that flavored tobacco policies that exempt specific products are less effective in protecting kids and more difficult to enforce than comprehensive policies. Further, any exemption for any flavored tobacco product represents a win for big tobacco. The industry has before and will continue to capitalize on any loophole to continue marketing to our kids. They know that all flavored tobacco products hook youth. Why else sell red gummy bear flavored hookah? A local city or county can go above state law to protect kids by including all products and refusing to accept exemptions. In addition, a tobacco retail license with strong enforcement and adequate fees on retailers is key to reducing illegal tobacco sales to minors. It's critical that a license fee is required in the ordinance and covers the cost of enforcement, so we support Supervisor Fletcher's motion to include this in the ordinance. With the recent finding by the county that 20% of tobacco retailers in the unincorporated area illegally sold tobacco products to our kids, the need for this policy is not only necessary, but urgent. The tobacco industry calls our high school students their replacement customers and the base of their business. Please put our kids' health over tobacco profits financed by youth addiction. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 3274. 3274.
Hello, members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is James Allison, and I am calling with the California Fuels and Convenience Alliance, representing California's gas stations and convenience stores. To get to the point, now is not the time for the county to put small businesses in greater danger, jeopardize jobs, and cut wages. I appreciate the concern of several members back when they expressed it in October for the small businesses that will be impacted by this order. The lost revenue from ordinances like this cannot be understated. In cities that have already enacted policies such as this, retailers have seen decreases in sales by as much as 40%. This is not just a loss of tobacco sales, but fuel, grocery items, and other items that customers take with them when they cross jurisdictions where they can purchase the desired products that they want. In San Francisco, where they instituted a similar ban, the economic ramifications were devastating. While the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco claimed that their ban would not have any measurable economic impact, a study examining the 6 months following the ban showed that in that time, the city lost out on $17.6 million in lost sales, $2.2 million in lost wages, 81 jobs were lost, and the city lost out on $2.06 million in tax revenue. This is a loss that neither San Diego County nor convenience stores can bear at this time. Additionally, the current ordinance does not address the root cause of youth access. Social sources are the #1 cause of youth access to tobacco products. These young people are not so much as leaving their home to access these products. It is as simple as logging into any social media application, contacting any number of illicit dealers with these products. Punishing small businesses for the actions of an already prevalent black market will do nothing to address the actual root of the problem. Most pressingly, you have heard from dozens and dozens of individuals today pleading for the individual livelihoods that they have in the face of a new wave of COVID shutdowns.
During a shutdown, even essential businesses suffer as a result of loss of traffic into their stores. Given the current pandemic and economic challenges it has placed on many small businesses and the jobs it has jeopardized, we ask that the Board of Supervisors delay enacting such an ordinance until after we have started to recover from this ongoing crisis. We are not calling for an abandonment of this ordinance, but simply delay in its consideration, or at the very least, a significant delay in its implementation. This ordinance as it stands will be the final nail in the coffin for many small businesses already reeling during this crisis.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next caller is 3848. 3848. If not, then we will go to 6339. 6339.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I'm actually a hookah lounge owner in San Diego County. I want to tell you where. But we card everyone coming in, and we make sure they're 21 and above. We don't let anyone come in that's not 21. And we check their IDs all the time, not only the first time. So I don't see where we are your problem. Earlier, this lady from the Heart Association, she just, blatantly said a lie, and it just flew. She said 20%, of people are not compliant in the county. That's not true. Check your compliance rate. You'll find that it's 3.2%. That's only 3.2%. Some people who don't care, but that's a rare thing, and it's not common. Okay. I have a son that's 11 years old. He actually would like to say his words because he thinks he can input to this. There you go.
Parents and schools are the problem whenever kids get nicotine or smoke it. It's a bad way, and a lot of schools, they don't have a lot of funds, and parents, they have to teach their children not to take those kind of stuff. And my parents already taught me that I should not take those because I am underage, and I'm not even allowed to go to my dad's hookah lounge because I'm under 21. And I know that because my parents and my teachers from my school know and tell me that. So we shouldn't ban hookah and other nicotine products because education and parents are the main reason we should be focusing on. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the public testimony on this item. Chairman Cox.
Very good. This item was originally brought forward by Supervisor Fletcher and Supervisor Jacobs, so I'm going to give them the first opportunity to go ahead and comment on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank everyone who called in and participated in this, and in particular, I want to thank my colleague, Supervisor Jacob. We have been on this path for quite a while now to get to this point. Not the final step, but certainly getting closer to it. Just to clarify for some of the folks that called in, hookah is not included in the ordinance. They are exempted. That was a compromise that was made in order to get where we are today. Chairman Cox made 2 additional changes that I think are reasonable to be included in clarification on the fee. And so I think, we've covered this at length multiple times in multiple meetings. I think we're taking an appropriate step forward to tackle what is a serious public health issue that has cost in the billions of dollars in terms of impact, and are modeling everything that we've done off of successful jurisdictions in other areas. And so I appreciate the work of our staff in putting it together. I appreciate all the stakeholders that provided input. And with that, I would make a motion to approve.
And I'll second the motion.
I have a question. Can we get a clarification on Mr. Somo's request? I guess it was from a 3-year period, not a 5-year period. I think that was for violations. Is that is that what he was asking for? I don't know if anybody's got a clarification on that. What is the 5-year period? I guess is that for only one violation per 5 years, or is it one violation? I think, is he asking for one violation for 3 years?
Supervisor Desmond, the request that came in had to do with what the penalty would be over if there were a certain amount of violations over a 5-year period. And the request made by the caller was to make the suspension periods, for example, for a first violation, it would be suspended for 30 days. But if you got to a fourth violation within a 5-year period, the license would be revoked. And staff took that from the model ordinance, and that is where that came from. I would say that an additional point to make is that there are significant procedural due process in our uniform licensing code. So for each suspension, they would be able to go through a administrative process.
Well, I hope nobody gets to that particular point of 4 violations, but and he stated, I think that state law is currently at 3 years, I guess, instead of the 5. Is that true?
I am not aware of that, Supervisor. I believe his reference was to alcohol licenses, but I can't recall his exact statement.
I guess I asked the makers of the motion if they'd be okay of changing that period from 3 years to 5 years.
I wouldn't. I think we're talking about multiple violations. It's not a single violation. It is multiple violations of the tobacco retail licensing. I think you make a mistake, that's fine. You fix it. You make a second mistake, that's fine. You fix it. You make a third mistake, that's fine. You fix it. I mean, at some point, it's not a complicated ordinance to comply with, and I think other places have done it at 5, and I think 5 is workable. If once we get in the implementation phase, we realize that somehow this is unwieldy or doesn't work, we could obviously revisit it. But I think we've taken a number of compromises and a number of exemptions and a number of things that have been changed. And so I think most of the folks out there are going to follow the rules, and they're going to do what they need to do. And even if they don't, there are multiple avenues of failure where it doesn't impact you. So.
All right. So I guess I would like to see a change, but I'm okay. I guess I'll still support it. But I'm really glad to see about the transfer of ownership is in there, because that was the primary reason why I voted against this last time, because of the lack of transfer of ownership to family members and things like that. So I appreciate Supervisor Cox for you putting that in it, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, just to make sure that we're all voting on the same item, let me ask if the maker of the motion and the second of the motion would agree to include the suggested language that I had regarding the minimum age of store clerks, so that we would modify that section 21.2603 letter I to read: minimum clerk age, no tobacco retailer may permit an employee under 18 years of age to handle or sell tobacco products unless under the continuous supervision of a person 21 years of age or older. Is that agreeable by the maker and the seconder of the motion to include?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, when I made my motion, it was including your 2 changes in the fee structure that I had added. That was the intent of my motion, was to include all 3 of those changes. I think your age is consistent with the intent behind what we agreed to at the previous meeting. And on the transfer rights, I think we discussed that, and we're all in agreement that that would be a part of the ordinance at the last meeting, that it could move between families. But I think it's entirely appropriate that we codify that in the actual ordinance so that there is no uncertainty about what was agreed to at the previous meeting. So yes, both the years were included in the motion I made for approval.
Okay, and just for the benefit of the clerk, the second modification would be to section 21.2606. It would be a new section D that says transfer to immediate family members. A tobacco retailer may transfer their license to their parent, child, spouse, or domestic partner for tobacco retailing at the same retail location. The transferee must be eligible to hold a tobacco retailer license. And so I appreciate your including those 2 items in the motion.
And Mr. Chairman, on the fee, the 21.2610, that will also be a new section that would be added. I'm recommending one change, the first sentence where it says the fee to issue a new tobacco retailer's license shall be established from time to time by resolution of the Board of Supervisors, I would strike the resolution of, because it will be probably coming back in an ordinance actually, and that would probably be in the fee ordinance that will be returning to your board in March, which would precede the effective date of this ordinance, which is July 1.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of quick comments. First, I agree with the amendments that you have made, what Supervisor Fletcher has made. I too agree that this is a big step in the right direction for all of what has been stated by some of those that are testifying and what we're trying to accomplish here. There may be more to be done into the future, but this will give us a chance to try this, see how it works, keep tobacco products out of the hands of kids, and hopefully discourage others. We know now that there's overwhelming evidence that tobacco products and their use is the cause of many health problems that cost taxpayers millions and millions of dollars every year. So I'm in total support. I think because we've made some change, it might be helpful just one last time to have the clerk of the board read into the record the motion.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is to amend the ordinance. There are three changes to the ordinance. The first one is to amend section 21.2603I to read minimum clerk age. No tobacco retailer may permit an employee under 18 years of age to handle or sell tobacco products unless under the continuous supervision of a person 21 years of age or older. Then add two sections. First one is 21.2606D, transfer of immediate family members. A tobacco retailer may transfer their license to their parent, child, spouse, or domestic partner for tobacco retailing at the same retail location. The transferee must be eligible to hold a tobacco retailer license. And then add section 21.2610, fee for license, which reads, the fee to issue or to renew a tobacco retailer license shall be established from time to time by the Board of Supervisors. The fee shall be calculated so as to recover the cost of administration and enforcement of this section, including, for example, issuing a license, administering the license program, retailer education, retailer inspection and compliance checks, documentation of violations and prosecution of violators, but shall not exceed the cost of the regulatory program authorized by this section. All fees and interest upon proceeds of fees shall be used exclusively to fund the program. Fees are non-refundable except as may be required by law. And with that motion, this item would reintroduce an ordinance adding and repealing provisions in the San Diego County Code regarding the sale of tobacco products in the unincorporated area of San Diego County.
Andrew, all I can say is thank you. You are the best.
All right, any other discussion? If not, would the clerk please call the roll? We have a motion by Supervisor by Fletcher, seconded by Supervisor Jacob. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairman Cox.
Aye.
Supervisor Jacob?
Aye.
Supervisor Gaspar?
No.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
Vice Chairman Desmond?
Aye.
Chairman Cox, that motion passes with Supervisor Gaspar voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is item number 20. This is a comprehensive evaluation of the base hospital system and trauma catchment area designations. This item was brought forward by Supervisor Jacob and Supervisor Fletcher. I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak, and then I believe we have 3 speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll kick this off and then hand it off to Supervisor Fletcher. Item 20 initiates the process to take a comprehensive review of our base hospital system and the designated coverage areas for our trauma centers. A thorough review like this has not been done in decades, so there's an opportunity now to look for ways to improve patient management during an emergency medical incident or severe trauma situation. We currently have 7 base station hospitals, but there are another 14 hospital emergency departments that are not a part of this base station system. And it's possible that some of these emergency rooms may need to be included in the system, but we won't know until we take a look and all of the data is analyzed. So the action today just gets the ball rolling. It's asking the Chief Administrative Officer to come back in 90 days with a plan for a comprehensive review, which could include hiring a consultant. And since we have significant resources dedicated to the pandemic at this time, the timing of a review can also be considered when the Chief Administrative Officer reports back to the board on this item. A lot has changed in decades in terms of technologies and our whole hospital and our trauma system. So the time is now to take a real serious look and a good, solid evaluation of the whole system. With that, if it's acceptable, I'd put a motion on the floor to approve the recommendation. And then if there's a second to that, the speakers can talk to the motion.
I'd be happy to second that. I'm pleased to bring this forward with Supervisor Jacob. I recognize our current trauma system has been held up as a national model, and our hospitals have had good outcomes, and I think we should recognize that. But we should also recognize it's always appropriate to take a fresh look at what we're doing to assess if there's any possible opportunities or avenues for improvement, and just to ensure that we're always challenging ourselves to answer the question in light of today's world. Is there anything that we might do different or do better? And so I think this is an appropriate step for us to take a fresh look at something that hasn't been looked at in a while and see where the data and information points us. So pleased to second this motion and look forward to the public comment.
Very good. We have a motion by Supervisor Jacob, second by Supervisor Fletcher to approve the item. And I'll ask the clerk if they would go ahead and call up the individual speakers we have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted, and then you'll need to press *6 to unmute your phone. Each caller will be asked to state their name for the audio record, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Aaron, if you could please identify the first caller.
Yes, our first caller is 3375.
Hi, Chairman Cox and members of the Board of Supervisors. I am Sarah Steinhofer, Vice President of Government Relations for Sharp Healthcare. Sharp appreciates the opportunity to comment on a comprehensive evaluation of hospital base station and trauma catchment area designations. Sharp Grossmont Hospital, located in Supervisor Jacob's district, operates a base station, and Sharp Memorial Hospital, located in Supervisor Fletcher's district, is one of San Diego's trauma hospitals. We look forward to working with the CAO and a consultant to ensure that all relevant information is included in the review, and we appreciate that the board recognizes the current strain on our healthcare systems due to COVID by providing up to 2 years for the evaluation. Sharp has consistently treated the majority of COVID patients. Our numbers never went down much from the early surge, and we're currently at 141 positive patients and 14 presumed positive, with Grossmont and Chula Vista consistently trading leader status, but Memorial Hospital is also in the double digits. We are better equipped with PPE, but our staff remain stretched to the limit, including those who are continually adapting to state and federal reporting requirements. We should also be mindful that we will be engaged in an aggressive vaccination protocol soon. Vaccines will present logistical challenges, and we will be busy for some time with this virus. One final point, a strength of San Diego system is that when possible, a patient chooses where they are taken for care. This ensures the best care due to established clinical relationships and medical records. It also ensures that the patient does not run afoul of their health insurance and face out-of-network charges. It is important that we preserve this feature of clinical excellence, patient choice, and patient consideration when evaluating our infrastructure. Thank you again.
Thank you. Our next caller is 5060. 5060. And if 5060 is not available, the other caller is 3799. 3799.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cox and members of the Board of Supervisors. This is Amber Turvroot speaking on behalf of Scripps Health. We really appreciate the opportunity to offer remarks today as you consider directing staff to prepare for a third-party evaluation of our trauma system. As you're well aware, San Diego's trauma system is a national model of excellence, and that is by no accident. You all remember that our trauma system was developed following a 1982 audit by a nationally known medical consulting firm, which showed San Diego's avoidable deaths at 21%.
Today, recent county reports from 2016 through 2015 that you all have access to show our overall mortality rate hovering between 2.4 and 2.9%. And many of those, I'm told, are non-preventable. These are well below national rates. Our trauma system stands as a model of excellence because of the dedication and the expertise and collaboration of and between healthcare providers and the County of San Diego to ensure the highest quality and best outcomes for the communities we serve. We are fortunate in San Diego County because not all trauma systems function that way. Some regions and states suffer from trauma systems that focus on economics and competition, where they lack the will to consider that the community and the individual patient remain the focus. We don't have that problem in San Diego. Our trauma system is an integrated network of care where significant commitments of time, talent, and financial resources are made on a regular basis to ensure that this region provides the highest level of service and maintains highly skilled medical personnel in various specialties to serve our patients. Additionally, leadership and oversight within the County of San Diego is unmatched and has really been the critical component in our collective ability to continue to serve this community with that level of excellence over the past 36 years. You know, monthly meetings of the Medical Audit Committee maintain constant internal evaluation and transparency of our systems. And in that process and that official oversight function, that's where deficiencies are shared and managed. This is another one of the reasons why our trauma system is a national model. So as you initiate this process, Scripps would respectfully request two considerations. We would ask that this process be inclusive and transparent, where our hospitals and county leadership responsible for trauma coordination are active participants. And we would appreciate your consideration of the impacts that the pandemic has had on hospitals across our region. We are still in the midst of responding to the pandemic, and we don't know what's in store for us in the coming months. So in closing, we sincerely appreciate the opportunity to make comments today. And on behalf of Scripps, we look forward to working with the county and will provide you with any and all information you need to complete these evaluations. Thank you for your time and consideration today.
Thank you. Our only other speaker is 5060. So if you'd like to address the board, now is your opportunity. 5060. Chairman Cox, we are not seeing any activity from the caller with last four digits 5060. So that concludes the testimony on this item.
Very good. We have a motion by Supervisor Jacobs, seconded by Supervisor Fletcher to approve this item. Is there any further board discussion? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Jacob?
Aye.
Supervisor Gaspar?
No.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
Vice Chairman Desmond?
Aye.
Chairman Cox, that motion passes with Supervisor Gaspar voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, the last item we have today before we go into closed session is item number 34. This is the San Diego County Small Business Stimulus Program grants for District 5. And I believe we had one speaker that wanted to speak on this item.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. If that individual could please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you.
And maybe in the meantime, while we're waiting for the caller, Supervisor Desmond, do you want to go ahead and make a motion to approve your item?
Yeah, I'll move to approve item 34.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll wait to see if we have the caller get in here.
And my office tried to contact the caller and we weren't successful.
Okay. Do we know, was the caller speaking in support or opposition, or do we know?
The caller was in favor of this item, Mr. Chairman.
Well, since the caller hasn't been able to get in, and since they're looking for a supportive vote, we have a motion by Supervisor Desmond, seconded by Supervisor Gaspar. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk please call the roll.
Thank you. Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Jacob?
Aye.
Supervisor Gaspar?
Aye.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
Vice Chairman Desmond?
Aye.
Chairman Cox, that motion passes unanimously with all board members being present and voting aye.
Very good. I know we have a couple of adjournments in memory, and I'll ask Supervisor Diane Jacob if she would like to start with her 2 adjournments.
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to adjourn today's meeting in memory of Thomas Ace. Tom was a former Ramona Water District Director and a retired fire chief. He was a military veteran also who served 10 years in the United States Navy, including work as a corpsman and active duty in Vietnam. He pursued an education in biology and chemistry at Ottawa University and later graduated with a degree in public service administration, fire protection from UCSD. Tom retired as fire chief for the Lakeside Fire Protection District, where he worked for 28 years. He had several positions during that time, including emergency medical technician and fire marshal, before he was promoted to chief. During his career in fire and paramedic services, he received special training at the Heartland Fire Academy, National Fire Academy, and studied finance and governance at the Special Districts Institute of California. He went into local politics to make a difference in the community after retiring. He served on the Ramona Municipal Water District Board as a director for 6 years. He loved motorcycle riding and enjoyed trips on his Harley with his motorcycle club. Thomas Ace is survived by his wife, Jacqueline, stepson, Rodney, and 2 step-grandchildren and a step-great-grandchild. I want to take a moment to thank Tom Ace and his family for his very valuable service to our community. He certainly will be missed. My final adjournment will be in memory of Suzanne Emery. Suzanne was a longtime educator and civic volunteer in Poway. She was born in 1943 in Texas, and the family lived at a variety of U.S. military base locations and attended 11 schools before graduating from Oceanside High School in 1961. She earned her master's degree in education from San Diego State University. While at SDSU, Suzanne met a fellow student named Bob, who would become the love of her life. They were married in 1967 and soon settled in Poway, the city Bob helped incorporate in 1980, where he went on to serve 28 years on the city council with many terms as mayor. Suzanne was a well-known figure and popular First Lady of Poway. She designed the concept for the First City logo, and recently she had been volunteering for the Poway Historical Society and had been on the board of directors. She worked for a time at the Daily Californian. Perhaps this is what led her in 1966 toward her true professional calling when she began teaching high school English and journalism, a career that would span more than 3 decades and influence hundreds of budding writers, photographers, and journalists. She taught at Morse and Madison high schools in San Diego until 1976, when she joined the inaugural teaching staff of Mira Mesa High. She was the advisor for the newspaper for more than 20 years until her retirement in 2002. Suzanne received the California Teachers Association We Honor Ours Award for exceptional leadership and activism. She went on to serve as union delegate for the San Diego Education Association for many years. She was an avid photographer and had several journalistic occupations on the side. In addition to professional design, she enjoyed calligraphy, sewing, making jewelry, and creating themed birthday parties for girls. She combined her love of learning and interest in local Native American culture at Palomar and Kumeyaay community colleges, where she studied Native American history and culture. Retirement gave Suzanne and Bob time to volunteer as reserve park rangers for the city of Poway. They also enjoyed the Anza Borrego Desert, a favorite getaway. Suzanne had a very full life, and she is survived by her children, Christy and Kathleen, and 1 grandchild. I want to take a moment to thank Suzanne and her family for her service, and she too will be deeply missed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor. We'll move on now to Supervisor Nathan Fletcher has an adjournment in memory.
Today, I would like to adjourn our Board of Supervisors meeting in honor of the life of respected local artist and longtime District 4 resident, Joe Nairi. Joe was born and raised in Wisconsin, but after graduating from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with degrees in art and education, he came to San Diego in 1962. In December of that same year, Joe began what would become a long and celebrated career as one of San Diego's top sculptors when he was featured at San Diego State College. He used iron, steel, copper, and brass for a lot of his sculptings, but was very skilled also at drawing, painting, and incorporating found objects into his work of art. Joe didn't just share his art with the San Diego community, he also gave back. Joe was a teacher and art consultant with the San Diego Unified School District. He was a lecturer for the Fine Arts Gallery, and he was an art instructor for youth at the San Diego Zoo and Safari Park. To Joe's wife, Melissa, his family, friends, and former students, I know he will be missed, but the life he lived was special. And through his art, he will never be forgotten. His legacy will continue to be present with us. And it is out of great respect and profound appreciation for a tremendous life lived that we adjourn today's meeting in honor of Joe Nairi.
Thank you, Supervisor. I have two adjournments today, and both of them are very good friends of mine that unfortunately have passed away over the last couple of weeks. The first is to ask that we adjourn this portion of today's meeting in honor of Frank Roseman, who is a veteran, a historian, and a beloved member of the Chula Vista community. He passed away on November 7th at the age of 98. Mr. Roseman was born in Pennsylvania and attended Penn State University. World War II interrupted his studies and he immediately enlisted in the Marine Corps. He served in the 1st Battalion, 11th Marine Regiment, and Artillery Battalion, and spent 36 months in the Pacific Theater. In 1951, he would be called back to duty during the Korean War to serve at Camp Lejeune. After proudly serving his country, he settled with his family in Chula Vista and worked as an engineer at Rohr Industries for 29 years. He didn't slow down in retirement, volunteering countless hours at the Living Coast Discovery Center, the Chula Vista Library, and other places. He also founded the Chula Vista Heritage Museum and was the co-author of 2 books on Chula Vista history. In 2004, the main portion of the Chula Vista Library Museum was dedicated as the Roseman Gallery. Mr. Roseman is survived by his wife of 75 years, Joan, and children Ann and Todd. Frank Roseman was an indispensable member of the Chula Vista community who did so much to better his beloved community. He will be dearly missed. Second adjournment I have is for Dr. Robert Evans, who was a beloved Chula Vista optometrist who was actively involved in the community. He passed away October 25th at the age of 83. Dr. Evans was born and raised in Nebraska, where he worked on the family farm. After graduating high school, he enlisted in the United States Army at the age of 18. After his service to our nation, he continued his higher education and eventually graduated from Los Angeles College of Optometry, where he met his wife, Marilyn. Eventually, they would move to Bonita, and he would open an optometrist office on Oxford Street in Chula Vista. Dr. Evans practiced there for 47 years and was an early provider of vision therapy. He and his wife traded offices on Wednesdays, so he also became a sought-after provider in El Cajon in East County, as well as South County. Together, they cared for generations of families and patients, and many of his staff have been remaining with his practice for 20, 30, and some up to over 40 years. Despite his busy practice, he was an active volunteer and was a member of many community organizations, professional organizations, including the JCs, the Optimist Club, the Bonita Sunrise Rotary, San Diego Optometric Society, Chula Vista Elks, and the Lions Vision Clinic. In fact, I first met Dr. Evans when I joined the Chula Vista JCs in 1972 and has been not only a friend, but a patient of his along with my wife and family. Dr. Evans is survived by his wife of 53 years, Marilyn, his daughter, Carol DeYoung, and grandsons Curran and Blake. Again, I was fortunate to have him as my doctor and as a good friend, and our region was fortunate to have him in our community for his many service projects that he did. With that, we are going to be reconvening as a Board of Supervisors at 5 p.m. for our notice public hearing on the Truth Act Community Forum regarding immigration and customs enforcement access to individuals during 2019. At this point, we're going to adjourn to closed session. If there's any reportable items from closed session, they will be presented tomorrow morning at the beginning of our land use hearing. Mr. Clerk, is there anything else we need to cover before we go into closed session?
There's not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. We will go into closed session and we will reconvene at 5 p.m.